Welcome back to another episode of Georgia Sports Nation. We got some more Hawks and Braves content on the way for you guys today. We're going to be discussing the domino that finally fell. John Collins is out of his way from Atlanta, and he's going to Utah. The Hawks traded John Collins earlier this week on Monday to the Jazz for Rudy Gay and exchange for an also second-round pick. So, we're going to be discussing the value of that trade, what the Hawks got back, the reactions, and what we think it means for the franchise going forward. We're also going to be talking a little bit about free agency for the NBA as it started at 6 o'clock a few minutes ago tonight with the first major domino already falling with Draymond Green and even Kyle Kuzma shockingly returning to the Wizards on a 4-year, $100+ million deal. So huge things in the NBA world going on right now as we speak. On the Braves side of things, we're going to be recapping the Minnesota Twins series, and the Braves swept them. The Braves keep on rolling. The Braves, if they win one more game in June tonight, they will set a new franchise record in wins. So huge opportunity this week for the Braves to make some history. Let's see if they can do that against the Miami Marlins. So they're in second place in the division. Huge series. So without further ado, let's get into it. Will, what was your initial reaction to John Collins heading to Utah for Rudy Gay and a second-round pick?
Hey, man, I felt like it was a long time coming. He's been on the trading block for 3 years now, and they finally got him off the book. They pretty much taking anything for him for right now because they wasn't getting the return back of what the contract was dishing out, so they weren't getting that same return. And what I said on Blackberry show, like Jalen Johnson showed them that they can trust his playing ability, so that made it easier for them to make that trade.
Yeah, I think so as well. For me, I was still shocked at how little return we got. I thought we would get a little bit more than that because, as we all know, John Collins is not a trash player. He is still a very much above average NBA player. He looked like a fringe all-star back when he was averaging 20 and 10 consistently a few years ago. And now, while his offensive game has slowed down, particularly his shooting numbers, he's still a valuable piece for that team, for any team, as far as help side, rim protection, a primary screen and roller. I mean, he's one of the best bigs in the league in terms of rim running. So there's still value in John Collins. But unfortunately, with the contract that we gave him, that 5-year, 125, was just a little bit too much for teams to want to give back some value that you would have thought was requisite for a player of the caliber that John Collins is. So it still shocked me, but I knew we'd be getting less of a package that we thought would be that would make us okay as far as accepting the deal. Honestly, and we knew for the Hawks that the second round pick is a filler. Yes, second round picks can sometimes, and rarely they'll turn into some really good rotation pieces, but unfortunately most second round picks don't pan out that much. So that's really a filler in there.
But
and Rudy Gay.
Are you really shocked that we didn't get that much for him? Like, everybody knew that we've been trying to trade him for years, so they weren't gonna open up their purse for that. They knew pretty much that we were gonna get rid of him sooner or later, so they just waited out. They outwaited us, and we couldn't. I think the chemistry between him and Trey has faded, so that also made it like those same touches he was getting, those touches went to Clint Capella. Those same pick and roll that him and Trey were so good at, those started being Clint Capella and Trey. So I think he started to get faded out the offense a little bit.
That's true.
Ever since, like OG Sam will say, ever since he been off them PED, man, his play went way down. Like, it's just like he used the PEDs for like a crutch. And I don't see the same value within him when he's not on them drugs.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying, but at the same time, John Collins he's still a solid player. I still thought we would have gotten more than that. I thought we would have gotten a rotation piece and maybe a second-round pick. Like, I thought the player that we would get back in the trade could have had an impact on the floor for us. I don't know if Rudy Gay is going to play a single second for us. I don't. He could get bought out, but even if he doesn't, I don't think he cracks the rotation. He stays on the bench as a vet, and that's what I think his role will be. Would you agree?
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I think he'll be, if he does stay, he'll be a bench piece. You know what I mean? So, and he'll be like a OG for these young cats that we bringing in. You know, try to teach them the game a little bit.
Yeah. And I think that'll be his role if he stays on the team. Would you expect him to get a buyout, or would you expect him to stay on the team?
I mean, that's all depend on what the Hawks want to do. If they want that veteran piece to mentor these young guys, then they're gonna keep them. But if they looking to sign another like veteran free agent all season, then they'll go ahead and get that buyout so they can clear up space.
Yeah, speaking of more free agency, Jeremy Grant returning to the Portland Trailblazers and Bruce Brown getting a major bag from the Indiana Pacers to go play there. Two huge dominoes falling right there in NBA free agency just now. But still, with this trade, it opens up minutes for Jalen Johnson. But if the Hawks keep Clint Capella, which I'm going to say this right now, I don't expect them to. I expect them to trade Capella. That's not me saying that I want Capella gone. It's not the same thing. I love Clint Capella as a player. I think he's great at what he does on the defensive end and rim running. But Onyeka Okongwu provides a lot more offensive versatility.
I think he's staying, Mikey.
You do?
I think they're gonna have Double O at that 4. I think they got him working on his threes this offseason. I pretty much think they're gonna have him at that 4.
I can't see that at all.
Hey,
I don't mean to.
He tried to get better on the threes last year. You remember?
But
he got better.
But that doesn't necessarily mean he can play the 4. It doesn't. His skill set as far as his lateral quickness, his touch around the basket, all of that is a skill of a center. I don't really see him ever playing power forward, to be honest, in his career, unless if he gets older. But I really don't.
Well, don't he guard most of the athletic guys in a way? Like Okumpo played the 3.
Yes, he guards. Yeah, he guards Giannis, but I still don't think that he's a freak of nature. I mean, Giannis is one of the best players in the league. So
why you don't think he can play the 4 though? If he can guard a 3 player, that's a pretty much a stretch 4. And he could be like a stretch 5 on a smaller lineup. Why don't you think he can play the power forward position?
I don't think he can play the power forward position just because offensively he's still limited. That 3-point shot, yes, it's going to get there, and I want him to develop that 3-point shot as soon as possible. But I don't think it'll be a big enough volume to where he can be a consistent threat outside the arc this season. Maybe one more season. But I think also, as a former number 6 pick, when he's been on the bench, I really think that Onyeka Okongwu is in line to start. That's why I think Clint Capella will be gone. In my opinion, Okongwu is ready. Okongwu's ready to start. And that's not me saying I don't like Clint Capella. A lot of this talk around, Capella versus Okongwu, Jalen Johnson versus Sadiq Bey. It was, so I've seen some people debate Trey versus Murray. Like, you can have 2 players that have similar skill sets in the same position, and they offer different things. And you can agree that they're both good players. Like, it frustrates me how the fan base has always pitted Okongwu against Capella. That's not necessarily how it has to be. Both guys offer something. And because I'm saying I think Okongwu is ready, is not me saying I hate Capella and want to see him gone.
Hey, let me ask you this though. Which make more sense as a team perspective? Like, when you let Clint Capella go, who do you have backing up Okongwu now at the 5?
Well, I will say Bruno Fernando did get better since he's here.
He ain't ready. He ain't ready to guard people at the 3-point line.
Well, he's not ready to go at the 3-point line. No way. But as far as a backup center that might play, 15 to 16, 15, 14 minutes a night, I think he's serviceable. He got a lot better at Houston. When he was here, he wasn't good. That's just plain and simple. Bruno Fernando was not good when he was first drafted here and then when he got his minutes near his rookie year here. But he's gotten a lot better. He's actually expanded his game to the 3-point line, and he's a great rim runner and still has that shot blocking athletic ability. So I think he can still be a serviceable backup center for Okongwu if he starts at center and we end up trading Capella.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I think Clint Capella not going nowhere, because they're gonna give Bruno more time at that backup center and put Double O at that power forward and have him and Jalen Johnson switching time between that. I really think that's what's gonna happen, because that makes your team stronger. You know what I'm saying? Then
so
it makes more sense than to let Clint Capella go.
I see what you're saying. So if we didn't let Capella go, who would you have starting at the 4?
Double O. Without question. Double O, he earned it.
But he's never played the 4 in his career. He's never played power forward in his career.
But his body size scream for it. It don't scream center.
Don't scream center. I was actually having the conversation with a couple of Hawks fans a couple days ago. Just because somebody's size means that they can play a position doesn't necessarily mean their skill set is great for that position. Okongwu is best used as an on-ball defensive center and a primary pick-and-roll man. He needs a shooter next to him. I don't think you can play Okongwu and Capella together. I've never seen the Hawks do that.
No, that's what I'm saying. We never seen that, but this is an opportunity for them to do that. He showed that he can guard, players with high skill assets, you know what I'm saying, with talented players, like we already said, Okumpo. He give him nightmares every time he play him.
Oh yeah, I know.
So if you can guard this man, you can play the 4. All he got to do, the only thing he's lacking is a jump shot. And if he's working on that jump shot this offseason, I can clearly see him and Capella on the floor at the same time. Can you imagine that defensive backcourt if him and Capella down there? Can you imagine that?
Defensively, yeah, that would be insane. But you have to look at the other end of the court. I think Trey and DeJounte wouldn't have a lot of room to operate in pick and roll with the Okongwu and Capella on the floor at the same time.
Well, they had room to operate with him and John Collins on the floor. Him and John Collins pretty much the same body size.
No. It's the skill set. John Collins was open to taking some volume threes. Okongwu is not yet.
And that's what I'm saying. He worked on last offseason. He worked on his threes. If he go this offseason and work on his threes even more, I think he can improve better on that. You know what I mean? And become a better asset at the 3-point line. That's what I'm saying.
I see what you're saying. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Okongwu eventually develops a consistent jump shot. But the thing is, I don't see how Okongwu can transform from kind of, he'll shoot maybe 1 3 a month or every couple games to, okay, now he's a full-time starting power forward and he can shoot 2 or 3 threes a game. I just don't think that can happen in one offseason. That's just all I'm saying. Defensively, though, you're right. It would be incredible.
Right. Mark my word. Mark my word, Mikey. Remember what I said.
I will.
Okongwu at the 4. If it don't happen, I eat crow. I would eat crow. But Okongwu at the 4, Clint Capella at the 5. And they're going to run that line up out there just like that. And I think they're going to keep DeAndre Hunter on the team. This is going to be like his last straw right here. This is what I think.
Yeah, there are rumors we want to get rid of.
Or he's going to be out, right.
There are rumors we want to get rid of Hunter as well as Capella. So both of them. We could trade both of them. That's very possible. Here, Southside says, for Jazz fans, from their perspective, yeah, this is a great trade if you're a Jazz fan. You can really get a front court with Lauri Markkanen, John Collins, and now an emerging star center in Walker Kessler. That's huge for them. And with Jordan Clarkson coming off the bench, like you're saying, yeah, it's a solid 5 for sure.
Now I hope for the best for John Collins. He just wasn't cutting the mustard here. I hope he find his game back. I don't know if it was too much of the Atlanta strip clubs for him or whatever. I joked with them on Blackberry show when I said that the other night. I don't know, it might be the strip club. He got that new contract and started throwing dollar bills. I don't
That's
know.
good, Jack.
But hey, but I hope he find his game. I hope he don't let the drugs dictate his career. You know what I'm saying? And cause him to shorten career, because he's still a young dude. He got a lot of career he can build out there in Utah. Ain't he up from that way too?
Yeah. And John Collins, I think a lot of fans got blinded by that contract that he had. Yes, 5 years, $125 million was probably an overpay for John Collins. But if you had given Collins, say, DeAndre Hunter's contract, or 4 years, $90 million, somewhere around that range, people would look at John Collins like he's a great player. I think a lot of it has to do with just the perspective of his contract versus what he's giving you on the court.
I wouldn't even say that was overpayment. He didn't get what he wanted. That wasn't the contract he wanted.
5 years, 125. It was pretty close to it.
He wanted. That was the contract he accepted because it was nothing better.
It was pretty close to it though. It was maybe $8 million off. I think 5 years, 132 was his max.
But the way he played, he earned the contract. To be true, the way he played before, he earned the contract. Yeah. He just fell off after he got the contract. That was what's so disappointing. You know what I'm saying? He didn't live up to his contract.
And Southside says here, Capella was almost gone, but Dallas said our asking price was too high. And yeah, I completely agree with Landry here, pulling out of that trade. If you weren't aware, it was reported that Dallas and us were going to do a trade with Capella and pick 15, which we drafted Kobe Buffkin in this year's draft, going to Dallas. And in return, we'd get Davis Bertans and 10. In my opinion, that's way too little. We're getting fleeced right there. So I'm glad they didn't do that. Landry asked for either Josh Green preferably, and he also asked for Jaden Hardy, either one of those two. But unfortunately, Dallas said no, and the trade talks fell apart. I completely agree with Landry there. You cannot trade Capella, a guy who some contenders really covet. The Warriors, for example. The Mavs already know we really want him. The Clippers are looking to trade Ivica Zubac, we just learned this morning. They could use Capella. The Suns could use Capella if they trade DeAndre Ayton. So there's a ton of suitors for Capella, and a lot of teams will give us more value than just taking on a bad contract like Dallas.
It's not hard to find a home for. It's not hard to find a home for a rebounding monster and a defensive threat in that middle. It's not hard to find a home for that. Everybody gonna want that. You know what I'm saying? So when everybody, the way I'm raised, everybody wants something you got, that means you got something good. So leave it the hell alone. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, come on, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You trade away what's broken. You trade away something you don't think you can re-sign or something like that. You feel what I'm saying? So why trade away somebody who's willing to stay in Atlanta? He's been clearly spoken out about playing in Atlanta. It makes no sense unless he's not providing what you need, and nobody can say he's not providing what you need down here. So that's what I'm saying. It makes no sense to trade him out. I don't understand the reason.
I just think it's a Kongwu's. Well, one, it's the contract. Tony Ressler, obviously, we know he doesn't want to get to that second apron. He doesn't want to play the luxury tax. We know that he wants to get more money off the books. So that's one reason. But also, it's just the rise of Okongwu. I mean, Okongwu has proven to me, at least, that he's ready to start and receive full-time 30-minute games in the NBA.
See, what they feel like Landry is a young GM. They can get over on him, but he ain't gonna let that slide like that, man. Landry ain't giving away star players for no pennies, man. He ain't doing that.
We've got some backup point guards going to free agency. We've got Javon Carter going to the Bulls and Reggie Jackson returning to Denver on a $10.5 million deal for 2 years, which is interesting because he didn't really play for them down the stretch. So
wow.
Other news in the NBA right there. So now we know. Surprising. Yeah. I mean, Javon Carter, I knew was going to get a bag. I mean, he played really well for the Bucks. But Reggie Jackson, that's definitely an interesting number, an interesting contract from the Nuggets' perspective. So last point about John Collins I have here. What does this mean for the future of the franchise? Do you think that this move prompts more trades to get money off the books, or do you think this might be the only move we make this offseason as far as like a big splash?
I think, truthfully, this was the contract that held us back because this situation started with John Collins. He's the longest tenured Hawk that was on the team.
Yes. Now, believe it or not, Trae Young is the longest tenured Hawk.
Right now, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And this was Travis Slink baby right here. This is another thing that cost Travis Slink his job, besides giving up all them contracts too, between him and DeAndre Hunter, them big contract he gave out to them guys.
I don't think Hunter's contract is that bad. I don't think Hunter's contracts were as bad as the Collins one, but it's still not a great one for sure.
It's still a lot of money with no return on it. He's been injured more than he's played on the field. You feel what I'm saying? On the court. So it's like,
well, not last year, but the years before that.
Last year was his best year. You're right. Last year was his best year.
He had career high numbers in a lot of areas.
Right.
And I hope, for me personally, I think DeAndre Hunter is a guy that we should keep. If we trade DeAndre Hunter now, I expect the haul to be a first-round pick and maybe like 2 rotation players or 1 rotation player. Because for me, DeAndre Hunter, one, he's by far our best defender of wings. By far. Nobody even comes close. And when you have DeJounte Murray able to stay in front of guards, hopefully he does that this season instead of, gambling for a lot of those steals. But if he can stay in front of guys and we have DeAndre Hunter guarding the wings, and we have a Kongwu or Capella, doesn't matter which one, guarding the centers. I mean, you got 3 great defenders there alongside Trae and whoever you decide to put at the 4. It could be Jalen Johnson. But I think it's more likely to be Saddiq Bey. I think Jalen Johnson will have a huge role this season, and I'm very high on Jalen Johnson. But due to the spacing on offense and Quinn's liking to shoot a lot of threes, I can still see Saddiq Bey starting at the 4 to begin the Hawks season this year. What about you?
Yeah, I think DeAndre Hunter is a great player. The only problem with him was just availability. The best ability is availability. So if you're available, that man is a great player. He's a great guy. He's a great guy to have out there on the court. As far as Saddiq Bey, I think it's stronger if they have this man coming off the bench at that 3 like they was doing last year. It makes their team stronger. It makes their second unit stronger. If you have him and
I forgot you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I keep forgetting you said you're starting a Kongwu at the 4. I keep forgetting that. Yeah.
It makes your team stronger. It's no lose in that situation. Now you got JJ coming in after him. You got AJ coming in at the 2. You got
well, you got Bogey.
Murray
you got Bogey at the 2.
Huh?
You got Bogey at the 2.
Oh, right, coming out. You're right about that.
So that's why I still think I wonder if AJ can get strong enough to play the 3, because I'd see a lineup of, you got Kobe Buffkin. Hopefully he'll get minutes and play well in summer league to crack into the rotation immediately. Because if Quinn wants to play a 9-man rotation, he said that last year. I don't know if that's going to change, but if it does and we play a 10-man, I can see Kobe Buffkin, Bogey, AJ, Saddiq Bey playing the 4, and then either Bruno Okongwu if Capella still's here, or another backup center if Okongwu starts that we sign in free agency. Could be Mason Plumlee, for example. I think he'd be a great backup to Okongwu. He gives us more size than Okongwu, and he gives us some offensive versatility too. He's a great playmaker for a center and an underrated dribbler as well. So he can make some offensive strides. Right.
I really never understood coaches playing under 10 players when you dress in 12. I never understood that, man. You don't come on, man. At least play 10 of them.
Yeah.
Give the guys some leg room, so they'll just be sitting here cold on this bench.
I agree.
Then once you do call upon them, they out here bricking, and you wonder why they bricking. They've been on the bench all game. What you thinking they finna do?
And
you know what I'm saying? So,
and I don't want Quinn to say, okay, these 5 guys are tired, sub in the rest of the 5 guys. I don't want that to happen. Keep that stagger going. keep train DeJounte, try and get that stagger going, and separate subs at different times. But I still want to see 10 players on the court. I think overall that's what I want to see, especially if we're going to develop AJ Griffin and Jalen Johnson into what we think they can be. Okongwu, I think, is really close. He could be. I think Okongwu can compete for Defensive Player of the Year one year. That's how high I am on his defense.
Right. I never wanted to see a whole hockey change out. I'd rather you keep three starters on, take two of them out, bring two bench players in, rotate it like that, so you always have a starter have a couple of starters in the rotation. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody's still able to get their rest. So I think that's better to do. It'll have players' confidence up, along with being ready when the playoffs start. You feel what I'm saying? They all confident and they all juvenated because they got rest. They weren't playing so long. I'm just saying. I don't know if it's just me. It just seems right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. In NBA free agency, do you expect the Hawks to do anything at the moment, at least?
If they do something, I expect them to get another veteran player. Like I said, at least somebody that a consistent shooter. It got to be a shooter. That's what we have, a consistent shooter. Someone to mentor these young guys that we drafted, and speed up the process of their development. So I think that'll be the way we go if we do get somebody.
Speaking of a wing shooter, George Niang just signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers for a 3-year, $26 million deal. So that is one veteran shooter off the deal, which I think that's a lot of money for George Niang, in my opinion. But he's still a solid player. So if he can provide that value for the Cavs, it's still a good contract. I think for us, free agency might be kind of boring if your perspective is of a Hawks fan. I don't think we really can go out and make a splash or sign a rotational piece because, one, we have a lot of depth already. We have Jalen Johnson, Okongwu, AJ Griffin, Bogey, Buffkin, Bay. These guys all want to get minutes. Two, we're still close to that luxury tax, and we're below it now by $9 million, getting rid of John Collins. So I don't really think that that's going to change much. If we sign a free agent, it could be like a fourth string point guard, mentor Kobe Buffkin, say like an Ish Smith, for example, maybe a Raul Neto, one of those guys to kind of have an offensive initiator at point guard, just to have somebody in case DJ or Trey misses time. That's something I think we could do. But other than that, I don't really think the Hawks are going to make too much big of a splash in terms of rotational guys getting signed in free agency. What's your thoughts on that, Will?
Yeah, we ain't making no noise. If you're looking for us to make some noise this offseason, you might as well change the channel because that ain't what we're going to do. Yeah. Like I said, we're going to get a boring veteran player who's a consistent shooter and somebody to mentor these young guys. I truly believe that's what they're going to go for.
Now, one thing that's the opposite, though, of that is the trade market. If you're a Hawks fan, you definitely should be paying attention to that trade market because that is where the Hawks could make a big splash in the trade market. As far as in the free agent market, not so much. But like I said before, Hunter, even Murray was rumored to be in trades, and Capella as well, of course. They're all in trade talks. So I don't think the Hawks are done making trades. I don't think so. And Kyrie Irving is returning to the Mavericks on a 3-year, $126 million contract. 3 years.
I seen that coming. I seen that coming. Yeah, because the owner was talking about bringing him back. That was his main goal. Bring Kyrie back.
So Kyrie
take some of that weight off Luka's shoulder. Him and Luka need to get together in the offseason though and work on that off ball. Who's gonna be off ball and who's gonna be on ball? Because they had trouble with that this year.
They had trouble with that, and they also had trouble with with pacing because, Luka likes to be methodical. He's a great player, but he likes to be methodical. He doesn't like to take a lot of fast break opportunities. Nobody's going to speed him up. Kyrie likes to play in the open court. He likes to go fast downhill in the pick and roll. He's going to dribble by guys. He's going to do some jelly fancy layups, and it's fun to watch Kyrie play the game of basketball. But they have two different play styles, and it's clear on the court as far as after the trade deadline last season that they didn't have a lot of great chemistry on the offensive side. So they're going to need to get that up if they want to compete for the playoffs again. Because last year, we all know what happened. They were in the playoffs before they got Kyrie. When they got Kyrie, they weren't even in the play-in. So they have a lot of stuff to figure out. But I think they'll do it. I mean, it's two great players, unfortunately, for the rest of the league, to be honest.
Right. Like I said, if they know how to bounce off each other's talent, they'll be great. They'll be all right.
Yeah. Any other remarks on NBA free agency or the Hawks before we get on to some Braves talk here?
No, I think we covered everything pretty much.
All right. So your Atlanta Braves in the month of June, it seems like the Braves always take it to another level. The last 3 seasons, the Braves have had an excellent June, and this is no exception. We sweep the Twins 4-1, 6-2, and then 3-0 with a dominant pitching performance by Colby Allen, which we'll highlight at a little later in the show once we get through the first 2 games. But starting off the first game, really, it was just a case of some good pitching, and you had Marcell Ozuna and Acuna hit some homers to back the Braves as they came out with the win here, 4-1. So Sonny Gray is a great pitcher. The Braves offense scoring 4 runs is great there, and Spencer Strider just allowed 3 hits in 7 innings while striking out 10. Will, I remember some fans being so upset and worried about Spencer Strider just having 2 bad starts in a row. Now they're quiet. I mean,
he done found this game. He done found this game back. Y'all woke the mustache back up. Now
Yeah.
we can get all our pitching staff to at least give us 6 innings. Oh, God. But can you imagine how we had consistent pitching?
Yeah, and we really
would be more deadly.
And we do have consistent pitching. I mean, we're the NL leader in ERA, start ERA. As much as it may not look like
hold up, Mikey. Hold up, Mikey. Now we're not gonna go there now. Hey,
we are.
We know what the numbers look like. That's because we had some dominant games. But when you look at that TV screen, what are you seeing? We're doing 3 innings and 4 innings of. You know what I'm saying? We're not giving consistent innings. Even though Charlie Morton give up a home run ball every now and again, he's going to at least give you 5. We're not getting consistent pitching out. That's what I'm saying about consistency. I kind of have to sometimes expect that because we have a lot of young starters. I mean, tonight Mike Soroka is coming back for his first home start in 2 seasons. He's going to pitch against the Marlins in a huge series as we preview that series a bit later in the show. We've got Jared Schuster. Then we have A.J. Smith-Shawver before he got sent down. We just started Colby Allard in a game. Kyle Wright and Max Fried are down. So all those young guys I listed alongside Charlie Morton, and then you have Spencer Strider, obviously, in a league of his own in terms of our starters right now. I think with all that's said and done, this Braves pitching staff has done an excellent job because when you lose your ace in Max Fried, and you lose your second best pitcher last year in Kyle Wright. I mean, Strider didn't get starts until latter half of the season. So that's why I'm saying Kyle Wright was technically our second best pitcher overall. He was the major league leader in wins. When you lose that, it can be a tough blow. But the Braves just seemingly have overcome every step of the way in terms of obstacles thrown at them. And I give all that thanks to the offense. Our offense picked up our pitching staff every time they was lacking. Every time we was lacking, that offense stepped up. And that goes to Brian Snicker. By him giving them the confidence, you know what I'm saying? By standing behind them, sticking with them when they going through rough traits and whatnot. Like when Ozuna was going through his rough trial, Snicker stuck with him. Harris going through his road trial. He didn't send him to AAA. He stuck with him in the lineup. Now he's one of the hottest hitters out there.
Yeah,
now that's what I do. You know, that's what I do give Snicker. He does have that patience and ensues that confidence in his players. Even though like I used to have the problem that I had with Snicker was when I said he don't coach wins, when he been doing better of that lately. Like I said, he been doing some of that this year. So I ain't got nothing else. I ain't got nothing else against him. You know what I mean? That's all I had against him. He's a hell of a coach. They fight like hell for him. You know, they never give up.
Yep. And Snitker has really put his footprint on this team. I mean, he's been in the organization so long, but it's really awesome to see the guys, like you say, fight for him every night. And you know, it's funny. A quick fun fact about this series. This was the first time the Twins have been to Truist Park. Truist Park opened in 2017. So it's a little bit of a fun fact right there on this series. But they did not enjoy their time at Truist Park, I'll tell you that. They lost 3 games in a row, so I don't think they'll be wanting to come back soon. Their run, they got Joey Gallo hit a homer to lead off the second inning. But other than that, Strider, like I said, only allowed 3 hits through 7 innings. And with the Braves' home run ball right now as it is, Ozuna and Acuna leading the way. I mean, it was just easy wraps after that because in the second game, they didn't slow down at all. Acuna hit 2 homers. The Braves hit 4 homers in the first 5 batters of the game. 3 homers in the first 4 batters of the game. You got Acuna leading off with a homer. Ozzie, triple. Riley homer, and then Murphy homer. 4 guys started off the game for the Braves in the first inning with a homer, triple, homer. I mean, when you see that as a pitcher, if you're Joe Ryan, who's had a great start to his career and had a 3-hit shutout after the previous start, you've got to be saying, oh my gosh, what lineup did I just run into?
Right. And then they got to feel like, if they feel like our lineup is a beast right now, imagine if we start taking more pitches and making that pitcher work more and cut down on the strike out a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, this team will be – nobody will want to face this team.
No, I don't think anybody wants to face this team right now. We've even lowered our strikeout rate to the 7th least strikeouts in the MLB. And we have those power numbers which lead the MLB. I mean, this offense is clicking on all cylinders. That's an understatement. It really is.
We got more first inning home runs than the Mets have first inning runs.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Wow, man. That's
wild. Crazy. The Braves, so if you didn't notice the stat by the MLB.com beat writer for the Braves, Mark Bowman, the Braves have hit 25 first-inning home runs this year. The Mets have scored 22 first-inning runs as a team this year. And it's just an insane stat right there that you really have to wrap your head around. But as we go through here, in the second game, the Braves punched Joe Ryan after giving up. The Braves were down 1-0 after that first inning. But Acuna hit the leadoff homer on the first pitch of the game to the Braves, and then after that it was really over. They couldn't really muster any more comeback if you're the Twins. And then Michael Harris and Ronald Acuna went back-to-back in the second inning, and that was all they needed. The Braves scored 6 runs in the first 2 innings of the game with 5 homers, and that was all they needed. They didn't really struggle. They didn't score anymore after that. And Bryce Elder, this game, he's gonna say, and I say too, he did not have his best stuff. He allowed up 2 runs, but he didn't have his best stuff. He walked a lot of guys, and he had a lot of traffic on the bases, but he was able to get through. And those kind of games, when you allow up only 2 runs, when you have the other team really struggling with runners in scoring position, that's when you have a guy who's battle tested. And this was a great learning experience for Bryce Elder in his young career, and really a year where I think he should deserve all-star consideration so far.
I think the problem that we run into is everybody try to come up and be too perfect. You know what I mean? So you're trying to strike out every batter. No, pitch to that batter. Let your defense do what they do. You got an all-star defense behind you. If they hit it, so what? Let your defense get the ball. Don't try to strike out every batter. You know what I'm saying? Try to be pretty and backdoor slider or, you know, what. So, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to be pretty and get strikeouts. Let your defense do what they do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. More free agency news. Jakob Poeltl and Chris Middleton both stay with the Raptors and Bucks, respectively. But with, I mean, this twin series, it was really the same. It was really the same thing in Game 3. The Braves pitching dominated this series. I mean, the Twins only scored 3 runs in the entire series. They got shut out by former Brave farmhand who got traded, and now Alex Anthopoulos retraded for him in the offseason with Jake Odorizzi heading to the Rangers. Colby Allard delivered a shutout, and it was huge. Kirby Yates, AJ Minter, Joe Jimenez, and Raisel Iglesias combined for a 4-hitter with Colby Allard with 14 strikeouts. That's a team effort right there when you've got all those guys coming into the bullpen. And when that bullpen gate swings open, you don't know if a guy's going to be on his game. That's why bullpen games can often be inconsistent and you lose a lot of them. But it just happened to be today. Everybody was on their game, and it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Yeah, our bullpen is something to watch if we ain't doing bullpen game. We watching bullpen game, and you got to pray to God for that game because that game going to be ugly. But when we not doing bullpen game, man, they showing out. And like I say, like, they're complementing each other so well. If the hitting's down, the bullpen is holding the score steadfast until the hitting crank up. You know, so it's like it's a complete team we got here. We're scary to face.
Yeah, and Colby Allard, his last pitching appearance in the majors was October 2nd, 2022. Like I said before, with the Rangers, he was a former first-round pick by Atlanta in 2015. And he got traded for in November, and he's really struggled in the majors. You know, he's 9-23 record and a 6.07 ERA in 65 games. But he pitched really well, allowing just 3 hits and 4 2/3 scoreless innings and walking 0. That is the big difference in how the Braves pitched in Cincinnati versus how they pitched at home against the Twins. In Cincinnati, when you walk a lot of guys, you walk around lava. You have to dodge all these bullets because it's such a small park, and there are going to be a lot of homers hit. In Truist, it's a different thing. The ball, it's probably more of a hitter's park than a pitcher's park, but it doesn't fly like it does in Cincinnati. But still, those walks will kill you with a good lineup. And the Twins, they don't have an elite lineup. They're not one of the best in baseball, but especially those top 4 hitters, you know, with Correa in there, Byron Buxton. They have good solid hitters up in the top of their lineup. And Joey Gallo hurt us as well. So there was no 2-run, 3-run homers and big innings to really hurt us in the momentum of that series.
Right. Walks will kill you in the MLB, period. Anyway, you give a team second and third chance, and they're gonna bite you. And, like, I was surprised when Snicker pulled Allard out the game. I understood why he did it, but I was surprised when he did it. Him coming, you know, he's been away from pitching for so long. He didn't want to stress him out too much. But I think he had a good game. I mean, what it was like? Well. What is it, like 3 years since his last pitch?
Close to 3? No, Allard. Well, for us, yeah, it's been about 3 years, even more actually. But for Allard himself, he last pitched on October 2nd, 2022. So it was a great start for him against, like I said, it's not an elite lineup, but it's not terrible either. So it's a good sign. Now,
right,
coming up tonight, huge series. Who would have thought at the beginning of the season that the Marlins would be in second place now? Now I knew the Marlins would be good this year. I thought they would be a better team. I didn't know they would be good, like second competing in the division right behind the Braves. Good. But I thought they'd be better, you know, hovering around 500. But they're better than that. They're now 48-34, 14 games over 500. So they're right behind the Braves in the standings.
Right. And let's just be real. They number 2 behind us because the Mets are a damn shit show.
The Mets, the Mets
because
are terrible.
because
and
we
Philly
are
had a really
6-1
slow start.
against them. We are 6-1 against them. So like they've yet to show us, you know what I'm saying, what they got to prove. But the Mets been a actual shit show. So it's been the Marlins for second place by default. But don't get me wrong, they've been playing great baseball. I'm not gonna take that away from them. They've been playing
They have
great
14
baseball.
games over 500. That's not a fluke.
Right, and they on a 5-game win streak right now.
Yeah, so
the same as us. So you know, we can't take that away from them. This is the
exactly
MLB.
Southside. Exactly. nobody's like the Rockies, which they paid Chris Bryant that absurd contract and have no talent around him, and he's injured, and I don't even know what direction that franchise is going. But yeah, you've got an important series coming up, and who did the Braves send to the mound? Michael Soroka. We've got him coming back up for his second stint to try and break into the rotation. And what are you expecting from Michael Soroka tonight as he goes against Brian Hoeing, who's had a pretty good Marlins year this year, pitching to the tune of a 2.31 ERA with a high walk ratio, but he doesn't give up a lot of homers, giving up just 2 homers.
I just want Soroka to be himself. He proved to himself that he can pitch in this league. He went down to AAA and had 3 quality starts. 3 quality starts. You know what I'm saying? With 6 innings or more, shutting down. He almost had a no hitter going into the way. He was in the 7th inning when he had the no hitter, right?
Yeah, well, it was a doubleheader, and those games are still shortened to 7 innings. So he was 2 outs away from a 7-inning no hitter.
Okay, so he almost hit the ball game before that homer he gave up.
Yeah, so he's coming off a confident start. Hopefully we see a confident Michael Soroka against a Marlins team. A Marlins team that doesn't have a lot of power, but they're top 5 in this lineup.
Solar, he still be rocking this thing.
Well, yeah, Soler. Well, yeah. Well, I'm going to get to him in a minute. But overall, this lineup 1 through 6 are pretty good offensively. You've got Luis Arraez, who is a singles machine. Yes, they're singles, but what he's doing is amazing right now. Putting the bat to the ball, never striking out. I mean, he's been insane. He's 114 for 291 on the season with a 392 average. Just absurd stuff from Luis Arraez. But him, Jorge Soler, obviously we know about him and his power numbers. He's likely going to be an all-star this year. You got Brian De La Cruz, Jazz Chisholm, and Garrett Cooper. Joey Wendell's also having a nice season as far as average goes. So 6 guys, really, if you include Wendell, 7 guys that'll try and get the ball in play, but you got Soler in there. So really you just want to have Soler up there with the bases empty. That's huge. Try and limit Luis Arraez to just singles. He's probably going to get his hits. But you really, if he gets on base, you have to limit Jorge Soler and limit the pitches you give him because you don't want to be giving up those 2-run homers.
Right. If our pitchers give us 5 innings or more, we're going to win this series. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I agree.
So Soler, I don't know if I'm saying the name right, but yeah, Soler. Okay, Soler. If he hits a home run, let it be a solo home run. They don't hear you. Yeah. But when you got people on base, when you got multiple men on base with him coming up, then that's when he's dangerous.
Yeah. So a top-heavy lineup like the Marlins, who's they have the big boppers in there 1 through 5. You've got to make sure the bottom of the lineup doesn't hurt you because if that bottom starts feeding the top, I feel like I'm saying this every week, but really all the offenses the Braves have faced in the past few weeks have been top-heavy. It's not a complete lineup like the Braves, but you can't have that bottom feeding the top because that's when you get into more trouble in the big 3, 4, 5-run innings even. That's when they happen. So you got to limit the bottom of the order. Try and avoid letting guys like John Birdie, Jesus Sanchez, and Jacob Stallings getting on base. Stallings is hitting 188 on the year, and he really only 8 ribbies on the season. So really definitely limit him as far as getting on base and no walks for him because you don't want to give them a free pass.
I agree.
as far as Brian Hoeing, the Braves don't have too much experience with him, really none at all. And same with the Miami lineup for Soroka. Acuna's got 4 at bats on him. That's the team high. He's 1 for 4. Ozuna is the only one who has had a homer off of him. But everybody's had only 1, 2, or 4 at bats against Hoeing in this lineup. So we'll see which pitcher uses the inexperience of the opposing lineup to their advantage. That's really going to be a key tonight.
Yeah, I just need our batters to be patient like they've been doing and just make him work. Make him the best thing for a team that is facing the pitcher for the first time. Make him throw pitches. You ain't never seen him before. If you sit here and have good at bats against him, make him throw pitches. Let your teammates see what he got. Then y'all are more prepared for the situation. You know what I'm saying? So just make him throw pitches. Be patient. Make him strike you out. Don't give him a strikeout. Make him strike you out.
Yeah, I completely agree on that one. And the Braves, this is gonna be an important series. The Marlins, if they win the series or even sweep us, for example, they're right with us in the standings. So, got to take care of business here. We've had great success against the Marlins this year, and in the past years, we know our success against them. So, hopefully, we can recreate that and have a great series at Truist Park. As I expect a big ovation for Michael Soroka tonight. So he'll have a lot of confidence. He'll have the fans behind him for the first time since he injured his Achilles twice. So I think that'll give him a lot of nervous energy, which may not be good, but it also give him a lot more confidence because he's going to have the fans behind him in places when he gets in jams, when he has a runner in third and less than 2 outs. I can see Soroka coming out and having a big performance, and I'm rooting for him because it'll be nice for him to either leave the game or if he pitches to the 5th, 6th inning, exit the game at the end of the inning with a standing ovation from the Atlanta crowd.
I'm looking for a good outing from him. I don't think he want to go back down to AAA. He want to show that he belongs here. You know what I mean? So he want to get back to what he was before he got hurt. He want to prove to himself that he still belongs in the league. Yeah. So I think he's going to come out and give you a good outing.
I hope so. Let's see if he can do it. Any other thoughts before we wrap it up here?
Nah, I think we covered everything.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, tonight. Don't forget to tune in next week, 6 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing another episode of Georgia Sports Nation. More Hawks and Braves content on the way for you guys next week. Make sure to tune in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. And we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.